Karoline Leavitt stood confidently under the spotlight on the Hannity stage at Fox News. At just 27 years old, the White House press secretary was about to face one of the toughest public confrontations of her career. Her heart pounded, but she showed no fear. Moments before, Robert Darrow had stepped out to loud reactions declaring, "Trump is a disaster, and Leavitt is nothing more than his puppet." The jab lit a fire in the audience. Boos, applause, and tension filled the air. Darrow, with 2 Oscars and the power of the new entertainment empire behind him, was certain he'd dominate this young MAGA spokeswoman. But Leavitt, rooted in her Catholic faith and fierce devotion to Trump, saw this as her opportunity, not just to respond, but to prove Darrow wrong in front of millions. This was more than a debate. For her, it was a defining moment. The studio buzzed with bright lights as the audience settled into silence. Darrow stood center stage in a sharp black suit, channeling the same commanding presence he once brought to roles like Vito Corleone. As the camera panned across the room, scattered cheers erupted from the liberal crowd when Sean Hannity introduced Hollywood legend and outspoken critic, Robert Darrow. Without wasting time, Darrow launched into his attack. "I'm here with a simple message," he said, his voice booming. "Donald Trump is the greatest disaster to ever hit America. And Karoline Leavitt, she's his newest mouthpiece, a Gen Z puppet who reads whatever Trump hands her." Liberals clapped wildly. While MAGA supporters booed, the room instantly charged. Darrow leaned in, gesturing like a veteran actor, his Little Italy accent cutting through. "I've seen people like Trump before, con men full of flair and no substance. I've played gangsters, but Trump, he's the real one. And Leavitt? Just a child in over her head, 27 and pretending to speak for this country." His words sparked laughter and cheers from the left side of the studio. Phones came out to record what they knew would go viral. Pointing toward the backstage, Darrow taunted, "She's the youngest press secretary in history, huh? Sounds great. But what's she done? She accidentally leaked Trump's private strategy by adding a reporter to a chat group. Is she careless or just unfit for the job? Either way, we're in trouble." Laughter echoed as someone shouted, "Preach it, Bobby!" Hannity tried to interject. "Bob, she's about to come out and face you. Thoughts?" But Darrow cut him off. "Face me? I'd welcome it. Let's see her defend being Trump's echo. I've called Trump dangerous for years, stood at his courthouse and said it to his supporters. Now he hides behind a Gen Z press secretary? Pathetic." Darrow's tone shifted as he paced. "I've seen America change. I didn't grow up in a golden tower. I built something real. Films, businesses. Trump just tears things down. And Leavitt? She's just the mask he wears to seem modern. She prays? Sure. But if she's praying to excuse Trump's lies, even God can't save her." The audience roared, some standing in applause. Darrow turned toward the wings. "Karoline, I know you can hear me. You tweet about not being afraid. Well, come out here. No teleprompters, no edits, just truth. But don't expect me to go easy." The crowd cheered louder. Darrow sat tapping the table smugly. "She wants to be his mouthpiece? Fine, but I won't be silent. I'll tear down the whole charade." Behind the curtain, Karoline Leavitt stood poised. Every insult Darrow had thrown at her rang in her ears. Puppet. Clueless. But she remained unshaken. Her sharp suit clung to her as she clenched her fists and stood tall, ready to prove him wrong. She turned to her assistant. "Do we have that old Darrow clip?" "Right here," the assistant said, holding up a tablet. "It's him praising Obama in 2016. "Perfect. Send it to production. I want it playing when I hit the stage," she instructed. The stage lights hit her hard as she stepped out, heels tapping, posture strong. The commercial music faded, and Hannity raised his hand. Please welcome the White House press secretary, Karoline Leavitt. Cheers erupted from the conservative crowd. Boos followed from liberals. Karoline nodded to Hannity, eyes scanning the room before locking on Darrow, who sat smugly, arms crossed, expecting her to falter. But Karoline came to win. She grabbed the mic and began, her voice loud and unwavering. Mr. Darrow, I heard every insult you just hurled. Gen Z puppet, childish lackey. You think waving your Oscars and growling like a gangster will intimidate me or humiliate President Trump? You're wrong. The room fell into stunned silence. You call Trump a gangster and me his lackey. But look at yourself, a Hollywood icon living in luxury off-no restaurants and acting in flops like Alto Nights. You dare lecture us on failure? You've made millions pretending to be tough, but in reality, you're out of touch with everyday Americans. Applause erupted from the MAGA side. Karoline moved closer to Darrow, eyes fixed. You mocked me over a leak. Sure, I didn't run that chat, but where's your accountability? You call Trump a narcissist from outside a courthouse. Ever looked in the mirror? She raised a hand and the screen lit up. A CNN clip from 2016 showing Darrow praising Obama. I like how Obama handles things. He's smart, he said in the clip. The screen froze. That's you, Mr. Darrow, praising the same administration Trump defeated to bring the change Americans asked for. So tell me, who's the hypocrite now? More cheers echoed through the studio. Darrow looked rattled, gripping his chair tightly. Before he could respond, Leavitt pushed on. You call me a puppet. I call myself a patriot. I stand with the American people. I work for a leader who's rebuilding the nation, jobs, security, dignity. What do you offer? More elite Hollywood noise? I grew up in New Hampshire, in a middle-class family. I know what working Americans want. You don't. Karoline! Karoline! MAGA supporters chanted. Still not done, Leavitt stepped in closer, pointing directly at Darrow. You mocked my faith, said I pray to hide Trump's wrongs. No, I pray for strength. The kind of strength you don't understand because your toughness ends with the camera rolling. I don't need trophies. I have the support of the people. Applause grew louder. Even some neutrals in the crowd began nodding. Darrow leaned back. His confident smirk wiped clean. You want truth? Here's the truth, Leavitt said. Trump won because Americans chose him, not you. I've worked by his side since college, from the campaign trail to the White House. I speak for millions. And you? What do you represent now? She let the moment hang before adding the final blow. Alto Nights lost $40 million. Maybe it's time you stop lecturing others about success. Darrow shot up, finger pointed. You think you're smart, huh? I've faced bigger than you. But his voice cracked. The crowd burst into laughter and mockery. Leavitt smiled, unmoved. You fought many, sure. But today, you lost. I'm not your stage prop. I'm here to show Americans how wrong you are. She turned to the audience, hand raised. Who thinks Mr. Darrow should retire? The room exploded. Cheers, whistles, claps. Karoline had flipped the script. Hannity stood, laughing and clapping. Karoline, this stage is officially yours. Leavitt took a seat across from Darrow, crossing her legs calmly. He sat stiff, face flushed, hands gripping the chair. You're good, he muttered into the mic. She leaned in slightly. I'm just getting started, Mr. Darrow. Ask away, if you dare. Darrow stormed off with his team, face dark, phone in hand after his angry tweet. But this clash wasn't just for show. It reshaped public opinion, media narratives, and political dynamics. Karoline Leavitt, once mocked, emerged as a conservative rising star. Niro, once a revered Hollywood icon, saw his image take a serious hit. Inside the White House, Leavitt's win felt like a major victory. Not long after, Trump tweeted, "Karoline Leavitt was fantastic. She showed Niro and the fake Hollywood crowd the truth. Very proud." This praise was more than a compliment. It cemented her position in Trump's close circle. Even skeptics like Stephen Miller and Kayleigh McEnany had to admit she delivered. A Fox News insider said, "Trump loved it. She didn't just hold her ground, she crushed him." Her next briefings drew more eyes, but she stayed calm. "I faced Niro. These questions don't scare me," she said confidently. Conservatives hailed her as Gen Z's MAGA voice. Charlie Kirk tweeted, "Karoline is the future. Bold, faithful, fearless." Breitbart praised her takedown of Niro in front of millions. Social media exploded with support. One user posted, "She destroyed Niro. Send her to the Senate." Leavitt's reputation soared, transforming from spokesperson to icon. Yet not all were impressed. Critics said it was a stunt to please Trump. MSNBC called her sharp, but a mouthpiece. Even so, CNN admitted Niro misjudged her. Meanwhile, Niro's follow-up on CNN lacked his usual fire. "She's arrogant. Trump's the issue," he said, but few were convinced. Though fans defended him, others felt he looked like a bully and was outmatched. At 81, some questioned Niro's place in today's political culture. Leavitt flipped his Gen Z puppet insult by using his own past words against him. She's now the face of a bold, young conservative wave, not just loyal to Trump, but ready to lead. Niro, despite his legendary status, seemed out of touch.